Hey everyone, Brian Zayn here with your Survivor Series 2017 review. Of course, this is the one time a year in which Raw and Smackdown individuals go head to head, so obviously it's a landmark pay-per-view. Of course, it's the only time of the year, folks. You gotta watch this thing. Before we begin with that, though, I do want to talk briefly about TakeOver Houston. I did get to watch it on Sunday afternoon, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great show. Obviously, they pull out all the stops on TakeOver shows. You know, it's always the comparison of TakeOver and main roster pay-per-views. Like I said before on this channel, you can't really compare the two. They're apples and oranges. They're two totally different products, essentially. So, I think that TakeOver Houston was great. I think everyone really delivered. The War Games match was insane, of course. Lots of really cool, innovative, multi-person spots in that match. Killian Dane looked amazing in that match. Like, he's got star written all over him after that performance there. But I think as far as overall match, just the most complete, best match of the night has to go to Velveteen Dream, Aleister Black. That was amazing. I love the work by both guys here. If you've seen the build for this matchup in the NXT stuff and the NXT report, as R. Felix Finch has talked about, then you know this is like probably the most interesting storyline going on in NXT right now. So they just totally delivered with the storytelling here. Aleister Black is great, but this match was, again, star-making material for Velveteen Dream. I see big things in that guy's future. And speaking of R. Felix Finch, he was at TakeOver on Saturday. He was there live and in person for all the madness. So if you want to get his perspective and hear his thoughts on the show, go click the gimmick on the upper right-hand corner of your screen to get his review on TakeOver Houston. Also, later this week, he'll be putting out a vlog, a TakeOver vlog. So you'll see, similar to what I've done for, Money in the Bank and No Mercy and WrestleMania, you'll get to see his perspective from TakeOver Houston on Saturday. On the pre-show, they added two other matches on top of what was already advertised, which is the Cruiserweight title match. This was Elias and Matt Hardy and Breezango versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Not much for me to say about these matches. They're matches you could find on any episode of Raw or Smackdown, depending on which one you're watching. And the matches were fine, but they were just like, nothing very special about any of them, especially Elias and Matt Hardy. I feel we've seen that match already. But with, with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it's really depressing to see these guys because they're pretty much one of the top acts on SmackDown, and they've been relegated to wrestling on the pre-show. They don't belong on the pre-show in any capacity, and we will see them later in the show, and I'll talk about that as we get to them. But it was kind of a bummer to see them here, not even wrestling on the proper pay-per-view. So let's move on to that Cruiserweight title match. Enzo taking on Kalisto, the only championship match of the whole evening. More great heel work by Enzo here. I've been talking about this for the last few weeks, how much I enjoy Enzo's work now that he's a heel. His opening promo against Kalisto, all the food references, I thought was pretty clever, and then he wins with more chicanery before doing the Jaw Dunzo to Kalisto to retain. So where does Kalisto go from here? He's lost twice to Enzo in title matches, so where's he going to go from here? Not quite sure. Who's the next challenger, the next contender for Enzo's gold, or his silver, I guess you could call it? I guess I'll have to wait and see on 205 Live. The first official match of Survivor Series is The Shield versus The New Day. It is the third match in a row tonight that features a pre-match promo. Big E says in his bit of the promo that The New Day is never going to break up, and it's the second show in a row, SmackDown and this one, where Big E specifically is the one that says The New Day is never breaking up, which to me is a huge red flag that he's going to be the one to break the team up at some point down the line. They introduced the five-man commentary team. It's a fatal five-way of commentary. It is the worst. Byron Saxton and Booker T are just the biggest homers for their shows. Kill me now. I want to put the thing on mute, but I don't want to because I want to hear the context of what's going on. Anyway, each team here gets all their shit in, all their big moves that you've come to know and love from these guys. You see them here in this match as well. The crowd is not necessarily totally against Roman here, but there is a Roman sucks chant at one point in the show. A double midnight hour by the New Day, and that was a very close near fall. One of the many, many near falls and false finishes through this match. It's just one of the many, many times that you see how the Shield and the New Day both escape certain doom throughout this match. It ends with a triple powerbomb off the second rope onto Kofi. Really good match between these two teams, as I expected it to go, because I know all six of these guys can really bring it. I know how good performers they all are. So yeah, it was a really great way to start the show officially. The Women's Survivor Series match is up next, and on Team SmackDown for the 5th spot, there was no surprise return for Paige or Nikki Bella. There was no NXT call-up. It was just Natalya taking Charlotte's spot in the match after Charlotte won the belt on Tuesday. A couple surprising eliminations. Becky Lynch was the first one gone after a surprise roll-up by Bayley. Kind of surprising to see Becky not get a whole lot of stuff in this matchup here. Nia Jax was eliminated by countout after she and Tamina traded power spots back and forth. They did some very kind of mirror image spots here, and Tamina does the splash on Nia on the outside, so Nia gets counted out there. There was a couple of rough spots in this match. There was a point in which Alicia Fox got eliminated after Naomi was pinning her, and I think it was supposed to be a pinfall combo into a submission thing, but the referee counted the 3 before the submission got into it, so that was a bit of a rough spot, but Naomi was eliminated soon after that. It's down to 2-on-1, Asuka by herself against Tamina and Natalya. Asuka makes quick work of Tamina with an armbar, and then she puts Natalya in the Asuka lock. I love this one moment here, just before she puts the Asuka lock in, she does the arm hook thing and then the sit-out move before doing the move. I love the fact that Natalya was like screaming, even before the arms were hooked, before the sit-out thing, like some cartoon villain, like, "No, you have bested me!" And then she puts her in the Asuka lock, she taps out. So very good look for Asuka at the end. I think that was the right call, the right finish to have for Asuka to be the sole survivor and really to show her striking ability. She murdered Carmella earlier, which is how Carmella got eliminated. So yeah, a couple of rough patches in this matchup, but I think it ended the right way. The Miz and Baron Corbin up next. First, I have to say I loved Curtis Axel's red neck brace, very Joel Gertner of him. Maurice was also at ringside in the crowd, in the front row to cheer the Miz on. She occasionally distracted Baron Corbin a couple of times here. And also the Miz Taraj got their shit in as well. Very interesting, because I think they did a very good job kind of preserving heel versus heel. There wasn't really anything either guy did that made you want to cheer for them. And I think actually, in kind of a way, I think Baron Corbin actually was portrayed more of the face in here, because he had the obstacles to overcome. He was jaw-jacking with Maurice, but he was also getting distracted by her, and he also got hit by Bo Dallas. So it's like he had more to overcome, and he eventually did beat The Miz with the end of days, which surprised me. I thought it was going to end some kind of schmoz, but it ended with Baron Corbin going over, and he actually had a pretty cool, clever promo at the end as well, saying, "When my hand went up, your mouth went shut." Pretty good stuff here. So yeah, I thought it was better than I expected it to be. I did not expect this to be a very good match. They made the heel versus heel matchup work. No one was really turned face as a result, so good on them. Up next, Sheamus and Cesaro taking on the Usos. And first off, the white frosted tips on Sheamus's mohawk, not a very good look. Wasn't a fan of that. The "you look stupid" chants are deserved for those frosted tips. More of the insane athleticism we've come to love from all four of these guys. You really can't picture a bad match with these two teams, and these guys certainly delivered here. I love how the finish was great. I love that one of the Usos tagged out while simultaneously diving to the outside onto Cesaro. Then the other Uso, again, I'm sorry, I wasn't very good with trying to figure out who was who, hits Sheamus with the top rope splash to win the match. The Usos go over, and the fact that they look so alike and it's hard for me to tell them apart. I can't really. I don't want to listen to commentary because it's all five guys talking at once. But it doesn't surprise you the fact that the Usos have been without face paint for over a year now. You would think they would do more of like the twin magic switcheroo gimmick to win matches, but I don't think they really. I can't think of one time in the last year that they've done that. The women's champions go at it as Charlotte takes on Alexa Bliss. This is a solid match. Nothing about this really screamed out to me as very memorable, except for the one moment when Alexa kicked out of natural selection. Not everybody does that, so it's kind of cool to see that happen. Charlotte blocks the twisted Bliss with her knees, the boot, the figure eight, and Charlotte wins here. So two big wins in a row for Charlotte, going from last week to here. And I was very surprised. Still no Carmella cash in. I figured this is the perfect time. A lot of people were theorizing that Carmella would cash in on Alexa Bliss and become the new Raw champion and go to Raw, which I don't think that's not a very good hypothetical. I think that the Raw women's roster is already too big and underused as it is. Adding Carmella to the mix would not improve things in my opinion, so kind of glad that didn't happen either. But man, I am just, I'm just going to give up trying to predict when the cash-in happens at this point. They might even hold off till next year's Money in the Bank. Up next, the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar takes on the WWE Champion AJ Styles. Let me just get this off right off the bat that this is probably Brock's best match all year since WrestleMania, and that was a good match, but this is an even better match. They're both good for very different reasons. The one on Sunday was it was more drawn out. I think it was a better story being told. I love the story of Brock spending the first 5 or 7 minutes of the match just beating the hell out of AJ Styles. AJ getting almost nothing in, and when you see signs of life from AJ, the crowd is they're getting out of their chairs. They're getting so jazzed up over it, but then Brock cuts that shit off. Then finally, after a couple of miscues by Brock, AJ finally gets the advantage, and you really believe he can do this thing. I love the fact I love this one spot where he does a springboard moonsault, and Lesnar catches him, and it's almost too much momentum, and they almost fuck it up, but they recover, and that's just a great little recovery by those guys there. Brutal escape by Lesnar from the calf crusher. When you think that all is lost, he's going to tap out, he slams AJ's head into the mat a few times. That was just a brutal counter. Brock kicking out of the phenomenal forearm and the 450 and just everything that Styles can possibly hit him with, and it's 1 F5 and the match is over. Brock wins, and people will complain that that AJ hit him with everything he had and Brock still kicked out, but Brock put him away with 1 F5. I think I'm kind of at peace with that now. They're really building up the F5 as this be-all end-all finisher, that 1 F5 is all it takes to put somebody away. I know we live in an era where there's lots of multiple finishers. I think they're finally kind of scaling back on all that and kind of like say they're protecting finishers. The spear is protected and the F5 is protected. And you know where this is going because they are going to have that match, Lesnar and Reigns. And when Reigns is the first person in a long time to kick out of that first F5, it will be a big deal. But back to this match, I will reiterate, this is a fantastic match. I think it was way better than I thought it would be. And I think this is just a true testament to what AJ Styles can do in the ring. And really, I think I should give credit to Brock where it's due because, you know, we know Brock can work. We saw how he worked in his prime. And I know he's kind of booked in this one-dimensional aspect now. But I think when he's really motivated to and when the storyline kind of dictates it, I think he can really do a lot more than just suplex, suplex, suplex. Main event time, the Men's Survivor Series match. Raw and SmackDown were tied at 3 wins apiece at this point, so this is the tiebreaker. Couple of cool stats going into this match. They mentioned that Triple H has the 3rd most pay-per-view appearances of all time in the company, 3rd only to Kane the Undertaker. Also, another cool stat, Kurt has wrestled every person on Team SmackDown throughout WWE, TNA, and Japan. So that's pretty cool to see it all come back full circle here in the Survivor Series match. Let's talk about John Cena for a second because he and Triple H had something in common in this match, is that neither of them wore their team shirts. Like Triple H at least had the color scheme right. He had like the red shirt, it was raw red, but it was his logo on the front of it. Fine. But then you got John Cena, who doesn't even come out to a blue shirt. Like, oh, that's this year's earlier this year model. We want the new model, the neon green. Like, I guess they say, well, his jorts are blue, so that kind of counts. Hell, even Shinsuke Nakamura changed his pleather to red for this show. Come on, at least put some effort into it, John. A few cool pairings in the course of this matchup. First, you had Finn and Shin facing off. There was an NXT chant. I believe there was a New Japan chant as well when they were fighting. You also had Triple H facing slightly younger Triple H, aka Bobby Roode. They traded spine busters and taunts. At one point, you had Cena and Angle facing off, which was really cool. Nice throwback to Cena's debut on SmackDown all those years ago. Although the crowd didn't pop for that as much as I thought they would. It's 3-on-2 advantage Raw. At one point, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out and start beating up Shane McMahon on the outside, which I called weeks ago. I believe that Raw will win the Men's Survivor Series matchup because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be spiteful that they're not in the match. They will cost their own team the match. That's my bold prediction for that match. And I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't see the Raw equivalent with Jason Jordan. No Jason Jordan input at all in this match. He did have a promo earlier in the night, but that was the extent of it. But then you've got Shane chasing off Kevin and Sami with the steel chair. Well, that's going on. Braun Strowman, who was put through a table earlier in the match by all 5 members of Team SmackDown, recovers and he beats Orton with a power slam. A very rare Survivor Series defeat for Randy Orton. So it's 3-on-1. You got Braun, Triple H, and Angle against Shane all by himself. And then you got Angle and Shane fighting for a bit. Shane's in the ankle lock for the longest time. Triple H gets in the ring, pedigrees Kurt Angle, his own teammate, and then puts Shane on top of him. So Angle's eliminated, so it's down to 2-on-1. Then Triple H just picks Shane up and pedigrees him to win the match. So sole survivors of the match are Triple H and Braun. Braun looking super confused, really reflecting the general mindset of everybody watching this show at this point, trying to do a little math in their head, trying to figure out what's going on. And then you see Triple H kind of celebrating. He's putting Braun over, and then Braun grabs Triple H. He throttles him by the throat and says, you know, don't you try to cross me again. Triple H goes to pedigree Braun, but Braun hits him with 2 running power slams to end the night. And it was a very kind of confusing, semi-flat finish to this show and this whole match in general. But I mean, and people are going to be mad. Oh, Triple H was putting himself over. You know, it was a big reflection of like the perception of him in real life. But the fact that he also put over Braun Strowman, this up and coming guy who everybody wants to cheer now, I think that was probably one of the smartest things he could have done. That is, as they say, best for business. So where this is going to lead down the line, I have no idea, because now you've got Triple H going off in a couple different directions. He's continuing his feud with Kurt Angle, but now he's doing something with Braun. Is this going to be the feud that carries him like in the go-between between now and WrestleMania? Is he going to feud with Braun leading into the Rumble? Like, how far is that going to go? How far is it going to go, period? Will he even go to the Rumble? Who knows? But it seems clear now that Triple H and Angle are on a collision course for WrestleMania, so they further showed more signs of that on Sunday. But also this thing with Triple H and Strowman is very intriguing, because now it's clear that Strowman is going to be like a top babyface on Raw. But Triple H, how much is he going to show up? What's the involvement going to be there? But it was, very interesting. I think more questions than answers at the end of Sunday night. But I think the match itself, it didn't have as much oomph to me as last year's men's 5-on-5. I think there's a lot more impressive things with that match, more memorable spots with that match than this one. I think they kind of wasted some opportunities. They had some cool face-offs, but I feel they could have done a lot more with what they had. My final grade for Survivor Series 2017 is an A-. This this was, to me, was about as good a pay-per-view as you could get, especially for, you know, the interbrand stuff. I don't think there was one bad match or bad moment on the card, in my opinion. A couple of botches here and there, but that's kind of nitpicky. You know, the 5-man commentary team, please never do that again. That was just abysmal. That was the worst. I wish I knew a second language so I could just transfer over to one of the other languages happening on this show and listen to that, because that would have been far more interesting. Maybe even if I didn't know the language, I would switch over to Spanish or Mandarin or something. Would have been far more entertaining than hearing the 5-man commentary team. But as far as like the pros of the show, Shield New Day was a great opener. Miz and Corbin, much better than expected. Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Usos, and Styles and Lesnar was a great match. You know, I think I don't want to put the ending of the men's Survivor Series match as a con, because like I get the confusion, but also I kind of like where they're going with it. So I'm kind of like, it's not a pro or a con. It's somewhere in that middle ground area. So this is probably one of the better pay-per-views of the year, in my opinion. I think they did a really good job telling the story of Raw versus SmackDown. Having the eventual tiebreaker, I think, was a better story for this year than last year, because last year it was like, I think Raw won the first 2 of the 3 like interbrand matchups, and so then you have like SmackDown kind of winning the consolation match, if that makes any sense. So this one was more better of a story where it's neck and neck until finally there's the tiebreaker. So I think there was a lot of good stuff throughout the whole show, a lot of things opening up as we head into Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, trying to find out where Jason Jordan fits into this, where Braun Strowman's going to go. Then over on SmackDown, how will AJ Styles recover from this loss to Lesnar? Where will Jinder Mahal fit in? How is Shane going to respond after losing on Sunday? And where will Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fit into that conflict as well? Lots of intrigue and lots of questions. I'm really excited to see on both shows where the next weeks and months will go in terms of programming and creative direction. Let me guys know what you thought about Survivor Series in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zayn, and I'll see you next time.